Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am the Tailorette, and today is the second part of the making of this skirt. Last week I did the box pleats, and this week I'm going to be adding the trim to the bottom of the skirt. Okay, so getting started. If you watched my other video on how to make this skirt, with the box pleats you'll notice that I chopped off a big chunk on the bottom of this skirt going all the way around. So what I'm basically doing here is I'm using that extra piece down at the bottom to create my trim. Okay, so I'm going to make a clean cut first. Okay, so I kind of think I want my trim to be 4 inches finished. See, this is where I just kind of shoot by the hip. I think I might do 4.5. So I can save a little extra on the edge here for possible ruffle on the edges. That's from this strip, and this could be a ruffle. So I'm gonna set this aside. So I decided to kind of map out what I'm doing just so I can kind of get an idea instead of shooting by the hip. Because right now I'm doing all the cutting and I don't want to have to go back to the cutting board. So here's the generic skirt shape. Option number 1. Option number 2. That's option number 3. Those are quick sketches. So that's option number 4. Okay, so here are my different options. And as I'm looking at it, I think I want to do something completely different. So I'm not going to do the upside down idea. That'll be for another day. This is a little bit too similar to another project I want to do. And so these are my 2 options. I could do the whoop-de-doo with the ruffle at the bottom. Or I could do this one. So I wanted to do the whoop-de-doo, but I ended up going with option number 1 just because I didn't have enough fabric. Alrighty, so I have done a few tutorials on how to do ruching, but just to give a little backstory here, how I do it is I fold it over a 1/2 inch all the way down lengthwise, like so. I kind of eyeball the measurement, like I mentioned in several of my videos. I kind of know what a 1/2 inch looks like, so I don't need to measure. You want to press all the thicker strips 1/2 inch on both sides. And then the smaller ones, I'll show you what I'm going to do with those later. You'll want to do the folding over on the other side as well. All right, so for the next step, as some of you know, I like to gather. Do the gathering on each side, and I'll do about 1/8 of an inch from each edge. Do the gathering stitch. I think I'm going to do a second stitch because usually when you do 2 stitches at one time next to each other, it makes the gathering stitches a lot easier, and it's easier to stitch down, which I will be taking all of these stitches out later after it's gathered. So I'm doing this about just under 1/4 inch away from the other stitch. And you will repeat this to the other side as well. All right, so the next step is to just literally gather all of these pieces here. Okay, so this next step, I'm going to just put this on a time lapse of how I do this. I might do a few pointers in between, but I like to measure where each scallop actually hits. So basically what I'm doing is I'm measuring 11 inches from here and then 12 over. So basically we go from this corner over, you get 12 inches, pin it right there if you can see that. And then I take 11 inches up, go up and pin it over like that. And then I'll grab from the bottom of the hem and measure 5 3/4. Pin it up here, and then I kind of pin it from the top and finagle it up here to make sure it's all in place. And this corner right here, I grab it and then smash it this way, like that. Pin it down. And then I just keep going around like that. So I took the thinner strips and I am literally going to just roll hem this strip all the way down on all of the strips. And this will be the smaller ruffle that goes underneath the bigger one. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a nice clean edge there. And then I'll do the gathering stitches here and gather them from there. And I'm adding the gathering stitches on the edge here. I'm doing 2 rows of stitching. Okay, so I have all my strips and I'm going to keep my skirt here on the table. And I'm basically going to just gather all of these stitches here. It's going to be messy because it's going to fray like nuts, but I'm going to stick it under there after it's all gathered. So literally just stick this underneath here and pin the other side. So this is the fun part where you actually get to stitch it on, and this will be the last step, almost the last step, until it's all done. So I shall take this, stick it under here, and I'm basically going to just stitch on the very edge right here. So like 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And when you do the double stitching of the gathers, it really helps to be able to do that, because if you do one, these will be all flipped around, and as you're sewing, you're having to finagle it. That's why I do 2 stitches. Go ahead and try it, and try the 2 different methods, and you'll see exactly what I mean. It gets really frustrating after a while. So, and I do a slightly larger stitch. I won't do a 2 or a 2.5. I'll do a 3, and just go all the way around the edge on both sides of the ruffles, like so. So I'm not sure if you can see this, but I'm actually going to be taking these little stitches out here. Not little, these are the gathering stitches. And the reason why I did the dark gray is so that I could actually see the stitches that I need to take out. So do that all the way around the skirt. It'll take a little time, but it finishes it off really nicely. And the next part is to press the ruffles down, just to give it a nice crispy look. A bamboo. And there you have it. The trim is finished. And here's the ruffle coming out the bottom. And it looks very clean cut. And I feel like it adds just a special touch. It's not too much. And the next step would be to add the bodice to the top. And that will be in the next video. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and I will see you next time.